Before she even touched a WNBA court, Caitlin Clark had already shifted the gravity of women's basketball. But what followed wasn't celebration, it was uncertainty. Despite drawing the numbers, the media buzz, and the energy the league desperately needed, her spotlight dimmed fast. Not because her play lacked spark, but because the league failed to amplify it. Minimal league content, uneven promotion, a mismatch between what she represents and how she's presented. Now, as she claws her way back to peak form, it's not just about scoring, it's about visibility. And that gap may be the greatest threat to her legacy. Her recent practices reflect more than technical growth, they signal readiness. Clark is showing flashes of the college star who bent defenses at will and pulled cameras with every move. Her team is finally crafting schemes that lean into her strengths, not around them. But it won't matter how sharp she gets if she's muted by outdated promotional strategies. For Clark to lead a cultural shift, the league must stop treating her rise like an anomaly and start treating it like the new.
If you're here for the real story and not the filtered version, subscribe. And if you're sticking around for the next meltdown, you better definitely subscribe.
Caitlin Clark has always drawn attention on the court, but lately, it's not just because of her stats. New footage from Team USA's latest practice sessions is turning heads for all the wrong reasons. What was supposed to be a routine workout turned into something far more intense. So intense, in fact, that multiple teammates reportedly walked away from drills altogether. Not out of protest, but because of how ramped up the energy had gotten around Clark. It wasn't a scuffle, but it was physical. And the message was clear. Clark wasn't just trying to earn a spot. She was out to dominate. She came in with the kind of focus that turns quiet practices into battlegrounds. And everyone watching noticed. After a rough rookie season that left many wondering if she was being overhyped, Clark looks completely different now. Her shot mechanics, which had seemed off for months, are finally snapping back into place. She's rediscovered the shooting form that made her a college legend, and the rhythm is undeniable. That touch, quick release, deep range, high arc is back. And it's not just returning physically. You can see it in her posture, the confidence, the command. She's running the floor with a kind of certainty that had gone missing since her Iowa days. Her instincts are sharper, and her teammates, even the veterans, are starting to defer to her. Have always been composed, but lately there's a new layer to her tone. She's sharper, more measured. It's clear she understands what she represents, not just for her team, but for the league as a whole. And it's exhausting. Between practices, media appearances, and a nonstop commentary on her every move, she's navigating a pressure cooker. Yet she's still hitting every note. She avoids controversy, pivots away from media traps, and sticks to the script. Team first, work ethic focus. But the mental load of carrying a franchise and a league's future on your back, that doesn't vanish just because you're good at hiding it. The WNBA has a Caitlin Clark problem. Or maybe, more accurately, they have a Caitlin Clark opportunity, and they're fumbling it. Despite being the face of rising ticket sales, merchandise spikes, and viewership numbers, the league has been oddly quiet in promoting her at the level she deserves. It's not just about airtime or camera angles. Clark has been sidelined in official league content, barely featured in promotional campaigns, and noticeably absent from key narrative moments. This isn't just a missed opportunity. It's a marketing miscalculation that could cost the league a golden era. Clark's absence from high-profile WNBA media isn't lost on her fans, either. There's a growing sense online that the league is actively toning her presence down. Whether it's to avoid backlash, appease internal dynamics, or maintain some illusion of balance, the results are the same. Clark's impact is being underplayed, and everyone can see it. For someone who has brought in record-breaking numbers and become a mainstream name beyond sports, this lack of visible backing feels deliberate. And for Clark, that can't be easy to stomach. She's showing up, doing the work, and dragging interest to the league by force. But where's the institutional support? Clark, for her part, stays calm. Her public comments are the same mix of grace and precision we've come to expect. She deflects praise, downplays controversy, and remains tightly focused on team dynamics. It's smart, and it's clearly intentional. But it also feels like armor. Because underneath that polished exterior is a player who knows exactly how she's being watched. By fans, by media, by critics, and by the league itself. And while she might not say it out loud, the restraint in her speech says everything. There's a cost to constantly being on, and it's starting to show. The latest practice footage shows something else: freedom. With Team USA, Clark is operating in a system that actually lets her cook. She's spacing the floor, moving without the ball, and setting up off pick and rolls in a way that finally showcases her natural game. It's clear someone on that coaching staff understands how to design around her strengths. This isn't the clunky, half-paced offense she was forced into during her early pro games. This is a system that trusts her range, her court vision, and her decision-making. And it's working. Her shots are falling, her passes are crisp, and defenders are visibly scrambling to keep up. It wasn't always like this. Not long ago, Clark's game had started to stall, partly due to physical exhaustion and partly because her body wasn't cooperating. She had put on muscle during the offseason, which unintentionally threw off her shooting mechanics. The lift on her jumper changed, and her release timing suffered. It was a small adjustment, but in elite basketball, small changes matter. It took weeks, months even, for her to recalibrate. But now that process seems complete. She's trimmed the excess tension, settled into her build, and re-centered her form. The shots that used to miss short or wide are now hitting cleanly. Her work ethic is undeniable, and it's starting to get noticed by veterans around the league. Aya Wilson, who once looked like she was on a collision course with Clark in terms of fan attention, has reportedly taken a more collaborative tone. The two are being seen more frequently in drills together, exchanging tips, and pushing each other in practice. It's a quiet signal that Clark is being embraced, not just tolerated, by the league's established stars. That kind of peer recognition isn't just symbolic. It sets the tone for locker rooms, for team chemistry, and for how the league treats its rising talent. But Clark's rise isn't just about mechanics or mentorship. It's about what she represents. She's a brand, a symbol, a disruptor. And unless the WNBA recalibrates its media strategy, they risk squandering what could be a defining era for the sport. Clark doesn't need to be the only star, but she does need to be treated like the generational talent she is. Because the truth is, people are watching because of her. They're buying tickets because of her. They're tuning into broadcasts because of her. And if the league can't, or won't, adapt to that reality, it's not just a missed moment. It's a failure of vision. There's no question Clark has turned a corner, and the game footage is starting to prove it. Her offensive reads are faster. Her defensive footwork is tighter. And more importantly, she's trusting her instincts again. That hesitation that crept in during her early pro games? Gone. She's stepping into her shots with full confidence and pulling up like it's Iowa all over again. The crowd energy reflects it. You can feel the atmosphere shift every time she gets the ball. There's anticipation now, a sense that something electric is about to happen. That kind of star presence can't be manufactured. It's either real or it's not. And in Clark's case, it's undeniable. The return of her signature long-range shooting is a game-changer. When Clark starts hitting from the logo, everything opens up. Defenses stretch out, lanes clear, and suddenly the court feels twice as wide. And with her vision, that extra space becomes a weapon. She's throwing cross-court passes, running backdoor cuts, and turning broken plays into highlight reels. It's exactly what the league needs: flash, pace, and unpredictability. Because when Clark is given the freedom to be herself, the game becomes theater. And fans don't just watch, they react, too. Of course, none of this was guaranteed. Clark's rookie year was brutal, not just physically, but mentally. She took hits both on and off the court. From the constant targeting during games to the scrutiny about her every quote, the spotlight rarely moved. And yet, she never ducked from it. She adjusted. But those months left marks. Her body was beat up. Her confidence dipped. And she had to battle through questions about whether her style could even work in the pros. Now, with this turnaround, it's clear she just needed time to recalibrate. Her recovery wasn't just rehab, it was reinvention. Still, there's something frustrating about how much of this transformation had to happen quietly. While Clark was grinding in the background, the league's promotional machine stayed mostly silent. No features, no personal interest stories, no campaign highlighting her comeback. It's hard to ignore the contrast. One of the biggest names in women's basketball having to rebuild herself out of the spotlight, while lesser-known players got more shine in league content. Whether intentional or not, the result was the same. Clark was expected to be the face of the league without being officially treated like it. Some of that may be rooted in veteran dynamics. Diana Taurasi's early dismissive comments about Clark's transition to the WNBA weren't forgotten. And while the tension wasn't explosive, it lingered. Taurasi represented the old guard, experienced, respected, but also protective of the league's culture. Clark's rapid rise threatened that balance. And although the friction never became full-blown beef, it highlighted the generational gap. One side built the league through grit and grind. The other arrived with brand deals and national hype. But both can coexist if the league allows it. Sue Bird, to her credit, seems to understand that. Her recent appearances with Clark have felt less like PR setups and more like torch-passing moments. Bird's recognition of Clark's skill, on and off the court, signals something deeper. A validation from one of the game's most respected figures. It's subtle, but significant. When legends extend legitimacy, it changes how new stars are received. Clark's journey won't be easier because of it, but might become more stable. Having Bird in her corner gives her the kind of credibility no stat line can provide. Clark's chemistry with teammates like Lexi Hull also adds a layer to the conversation. Hull has been a quiet supporter, often working alongside Clark in practice without much fanfare. But those sessions matter. They speak to team dynamics, shared work ethic, and internal support systems that help players thrive. While some voices have questioned Clark's fit in pro locker rooms, real footage shows a different story. She's engaged, collaborative, and willing to take feedback. That doesn't always make headlines, but it matters, especially when you're trying to rebuild a rhythm in the face of intense expectations. The court, Clark's strategic appearances, like her participation in LPG-related events, reveal a player who understands brand positioning. She's not just about basketball. She's about visibility, crossover appeal, and expanding the sport's cultural footprint. These moves may seem minor, but they're massive in the context of WNBA growth. Clark brings non-traditional fans to the sport. People who don't watch hoops but know her name. Every tee shot and photo op is another touchpoint for future viewership. And the league should be leaning into that, not pulling back. In interviews, Clark continues to walk a tightrope. She's diplomatic but assertive, careful not to criticize the league while subtly signaling the gaps. She knows she's being watched by fans, by teammates, by executives. And she chooses her words with the kind of foresight that comes from being in the spotlight since college. That media training isn't accidental. It's survival. Clark's ability to stay poised through hot takes, bad officiating, and social media swarms is part of what makes her so valuable. She's more than a scorer. She's a franchise stabilizer, even when the franchise isn't fully ready for her. It's easy to forget that all of this is happening in real time. Clark is still recovering, still evolving, still figuring out how to play her game at the highest level without compromising her body. Her off-season transformation wasn't just about form. It was about function, learning how to preserve energy, reduce injury risk, and stay durable over the long haul. She's not just playing smarter, she's moving smarter. Less wasted motion, more intentional pacing, all of which suggests one thing. She's preparing for the long game. Not just a breakout season, but a sustained presence. A career that doesn't just start strong, but stays strong. Clark's ability to gel with players like Sophie Cunningham says a lot about her adaptability. The two have been spotted collaborating during post-practice shooting sessions, exchanging technique tweaks and feeding off each other's tempo. Cunningham, known for her scrappy energy, seems to thrive in Clark's fast-paced rhythm. It's the kind of low-key alliance that builds cohesion on and off the floor. There's no need for headline-grabbing moments when the chemistry is that natural. And yet, those moments are probably doing more for Clark's integration into the league than any one-time media push ever could. It's proof that she's not just being tolerated in these spaces, she's being respected. Still, not everything is smooth behind the scenes. There have been flashes of visible frustration. During one practice, Clark's body language shifted after a missed rotation left her chasing a botched play. She snapped at a teammate. Nothing dramatic, but enough to be clocked by onlookers. And honestly, that's part of her evolution too. She's learning how to lead, how to demand more, and how to show emotion without unraveling. It's a delicate balance. And for someone still navigating the politics of a new locker room, it takes guts to hold others accountable. That moment wasn't a meltdown. It was a marker of growth. Then there's the unexpected friendship with Nelly Korda. Their joint appearances during golf events have sparked crossover buzz. Two dominant athletes from two very different sports, casually sharing screens and spotlight. And whether it's intentional or not, the message is strong. Clark belongs in rooms with top-tier talent, not just in women's basketball, but in sports, period. Those images do work, the league hasn't. They place Clark in a multi-sport context, making her appeal bigger than just hoops. They give her mainstream shine and help normalize the idea that she's not just a player, she's a platform. What makes this even more compelling is how recently she was struggling just to stay healthy. Clark's early WNBA season was riddled with physical setbacks, nagging soreness, tight quads, strained movement patterns. Not enough to bench her, but enough to throw her timing off completely. Now, her movements are clean. She's back to exploding off screens, planting confidently on her drives, and snapping into jumpers with zero hesitation. That recovery arc is impressive, not just because she bounced back, but because she did it quietly, without fanfare, while still under a microscope. The buzz around a potential Caitlin Clark versus Paige Buecher's matchup is growing louder, even if it's still hypothetical. Fans are hungry for that college rivalry energy to transfer to the pro level, and Clark's resurgence only adds fuel. People want to see how the next-gen talent stack up, not just skill-wise, but impact-wise. Because let's be real, Clark isn't just in the conversation. She is the conversation. And while Buecher's time will come, it's Clark who's actively reshaping the present. She's not waiting to make a mark. She's already remaking the mold. Sales of her Indiana Fever jersey remain near the top of the charts, which is wild considering how up and down her first few months were. That kind of staying power says a lot about her market value. Fans didn't bail on her during her adjustment period. They doubled down. And now that she's performing again, that investment looks genius. The league is all the proof it needs that Clark isn't a passing trend. She's a long-term brand. The kind of player that drives merch, fills arenas, and creates lifetime fans. Ignoring that kind of pull isn't just bad business. It's self-sabotage. Zoomed-in footage from recent press conferences shows it all. The calm expression, the focus. But look closer, and you'll catch the micro-reactions, tightened jawlines, slow exhales, subtle blinks that give away the fatigue. Clark is holding it together, but it's not effortless. The mental grind of being that player every single day is starting to show in tiny cracks. She's still composed, still media-ready, but the pressure is clearly building. And unless the league steps in to support her more actively, the weight she's carrying could become unsustainable. It's why every made shot matters right now. Every deep three, every quick pull-up, every off-balance fadeaway. Each one isn't just 2 or 3 points. It's a signal, a reminder that despite all the noise, all the criticism, all the cautious silence from league leadership, Clark is still doing her job. Her game is doing the talking. And when she's in rhythm, everything else falls into place. The offense flows. The tempo spikes. The fans light up. Clark isn't waiting for the system to catch up to her. She's setting the pace herself. The media questions haven't softened either. They're still sharp, still veiled with judgment, still testing her. But Clark answers with grace. She praises her teammates, credits her coaching staff, and walks the tightrope between self-awareness and brand awareness like a pro. She's become a master of redirecting narratives, shifting focus off herself when it suits the room, stepping back into the spotlight when the story needs a push. It's media control without manipulation, and it keeps her from becoming polarizing, even while the league debates how much of her to embrace. Those post-practice candids and match-day shots tell a bigger story. They show a player in motion, always moving, always adapting. Her expressions shift from locked-in intensity to quiet reflection, from on-court fire to off-court focus. She's never off, and in those still frames, you see the real cost of being a 22-year-old tasked with elevating a billion-dollar enterprise. That's not just about basketball IQ. It's about stamina, endurance, emotional maturity, and Clark has all three in abundance. So here we are. Caitlin Clark is sharper, healthier, and more dangerous than ever. The talent never left. It just needed room to breathe. But the league? It's still acting like it doesn't know what to do with her. You'd think breaking attendance records, boosting ratings, and moving merchandise will be enough to earn consistent spotlight. Instead, it's selective, cautious, almost reluctant. Clark doesn't need handouts, but she deserves acknowledgement. Not just when it's convenient or safe, but when it counts. If the WNBA truly wants to level up, it can't afford to keep sidelining its most magnetic player out of fear or politics. Because stars don't wait forever. They shine where they're allowed to shine. This season could be the turning point. The moment the league realizes Clark isn't just good for the game. She is the game. But that future depends on how they handle her now. Elevate her, protect her, and let her lead. Or keep playing small and risk missing the moment. If you're ready for a league that stops playing it safe and finally bets on the players who move the needle, hit that like button. Drop a comment below. Do you think the WNBA's handling Caitlin right, or holding her back? And don't forget to subscribe if you want more behind-the-scenes breakdowns of the moments changing women's sports forever.